Comes Josh from Spacesaver.
Hello, good afternoon, good
Hello,
morning,
throw
and
those
if I don't see you, good
headphones
evening.
on. All right, well, we're live on LinkedIn, so say hello to the folks there.
Hey, everybody.
All right, Josh is another one of our booth neighbors, I guess we could call you here
Indeed.
at Promat. So we're with Spacesaver. So tell us a little bit about Spacesaver.
Yeah, so Spacesaver's out of Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin,
Mhm.
and we've been doing mobile racking and shelving and lockers and storage since 1972.
Oh wow, so you got a little experience.
A lot of experience. Yeah, we just
A lot
celebrated
of
50
experience.
years, so
Okay,
we're pretty excited.
congratulations.
Yep.
Yeah, happy birthday, I guess, to you guys.
Thank you.
Spacesaver, right?
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, I'm looking at it right across here, and it's I mean, I see what you guys have in the booth. It's kind of like you crank it a little bit to move it, and yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So what we have is mobile racking, right?
Mhm.
So the biggest cost to a business are three things, or the top three costs.
Mm.
It's going to be your labor costs, it's going to be your cost per square foot,
Mhm.
and then your equipment. And so with our systems, we've got mechanical assist, as you mentioned, where you
Mhm.
crank that handle.
Yeah.
And then we've also got powered systems where you can just push a button.
Mm.
You can control it from a fork truck with a Bluetooth controller,
Right.
and you can move those carriages, eliminating aisles, right?
Mm.
Static racking, static storage. You've
Yeah.
got to have those aisles in there.
Mm.
That's wasted space if you're not in that aisle loading or unloading.
Right.
So we're eliminating that. We're allowing you to
Mm.
densify. You can either uh, cut your space in half
Mm.
and have that space back to use for something else,
Yeah.
or you could double your storage capacity in the same space.
Mm. Mm. Very interesting. And talk to us a little bit more about. You said a Bluetooth controller on the forklift to move
Yeah,
it.
yeah, we
I want
love
to hear
that
about
one.
that. Yeah.
So we had a customer, great case study, Abnormal Beer out in California.
Okay.
They had static racking, and they also, what you see with beer distributors and distilleries sometimes is that everything's on a pallet,
Mhm.
and they can stack the pallets, right? Because the
Right.
kegs can take the load.
Yeah.
But then when they need the bottom item, it's a long time to
You
get
gotta
that out, right?
stack everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they went with our powered mobile solution,
Mm.
an active rack. And what they're able to do, their warehouse manager, he said, this is great. He said, because everybody's trying to save time.
Yeah.
And it's a minute here, 30 seconds there, and it all adds up.
Oh yeah.
Because he'll leave the aisle with his forks loaded.
Mhm.
He'll then use that controller to tell the system what the next pick is going to be, what
Mhm.
aisle. He goes and drops that pallet on the truck. He comes back, that aisle's already open, ready to go.
Interesting. And I like that idea too, because I was going to ask you about that from an efficiency perspective. Like, do you have to go off and you have to crank the
Yeah.
shelf to move it over? But
Yeah.
the fact that you've automated that and you don't even have to get off the forklift, I think is a great thing. So I mean, tell us a little bit about what you're seeing from the racking perspective, because obviously companies are trying to maximize their space and optimize the space as much as possible. So when people are coming to you, or people at the show here have been coming by, I mean, what types of challenges are they facing, and why are they showing some interest in Spacesaver?
That's a really good question. It's a variety of challenges, right?
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, they're all paying precious capital
Mm.
for the space they have.
Right.
So whether their business is growing and they need more space to expand their processes, bring more equipment in, whatever that may be,
Right.
or they're downsizing. They need smaller space, but they've got to store what they used to store or currently store,
Mhm.
but they want to minimize that footprint. And it's any number of needs, I guess you could say. It just depends on what their reason is for needing more space.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's we all need more space. I mean, I've been warehouse manager for a long time, and
Yeah.
it was always the thing, is like, how can we maximize the space, try to make
Right.
more space. But having something like this is certainly a great solution. And I mean, talk to us about the because I'm thinking of the application, and in my mind, I would think that, like, okay, I would probably put like my C movers in something like that, maybe B movers. But I mean, how long does the time actually take to like separate the rack to be able to get in there and pick something?
Sure. Yeah, and you're right on, Kevin. Probably C and D movers
Mhm.
are best, because if you have multiple people picking at the same time,
Yeah.
it's going to be chaotic, right? With the way
Yeah.
our systems move. You're absolutely right to say that. So for us, yeah, I guess I would say in the C and D space.
Mm.
But what we do really well,
Mhm.
and why we've been so successful, is our safeties.
Mm.
So we've got photoelectric eyes
Yeah.
that are acting as safeties and
Mhm.
ensuring, kind of like your garage door, right?
Okay.
If you break that beam when you walk out of your garage, the door goes up. I'm not
Mm.
trying to crush anybody today.
Yeah.
Same thing with our racking. We've
Mm.
got aisle entry sensors where if that beam gets broken, someone enters an aisle that's closing,
Mm.
that carriage is going to stop.
Okay.
We've got photo sweep, which runs the length of the carriage. like that garage door opener. So if I'm standing in the aisle and that carriage is coming at me, as soon as that photo eye picks up my foot, that carriage is going to stop. Okay. And then we've even got 0 force sensors, which is like every 24 inches along the aisle. And that's what we call a passive safety, because there's no action. If I enter the aisle, that's the action where I break the beam. If my foot breaks the beam, that's the action. If I'm 0 force, I'm occupying the aisle, and therefore it's passive, because I'm occupying the beam space. So yeah, we take safety very, very seriously, because that goes into that biggest cost, which is labor, right?
Yeah.
And any time loss is definitely something that business owners want to avoid.
Yeah, that's a really good thing. And you knew what my next question was going to be. I was going to ask you about the safety aspect, like, nobody get stuck in there or something, or and I guess you couldn't have an employee kind of sneak in there and go, make a little bed in the rack. And I've certainly seen that or heard stories about that.
You could, but
you couldn't
they'd be
close it,
safe.
right? Yeah.
They'd be protected.
Right.
But the nice thing is, if you have inventory, you have a box fall out, even there, we're catching that, right? And
so
we're not going to
crushing the
damage
inventory.
exactly.
Yeah. Interesting.
And we've got safety as well on our mechanical assist. We call it mechanical sweep. It's a big steel plate, and that 3 pounds of force will engage that safety where it's going to break that drive. And now that carriage is not going to continue to move. So regardless of whether you're mechanical assist or powered, we're going to make sure that you're doing it safely.
Interesting. And so from an implementation or installation perspective, I mean, what's involved in installing the system?
So in a warehouse setting, it's really kind of beautiful, because if you've got pallet racking, you're halfway home.
Okay.
Our mobile bases will accept, I would say, 90%, maybe but more than that, existing pallet racking out there. What you want to do is you want to check with your manufacturer of the racking, Kevin, and ensure that racking is rated for use on a mobile system. Reason for that is our motors have soft start, soft stop. They're incredible. We do all of our own electronics in-house too. So we take great pride in that. But if your rack isn't rated for that little bit of inertia, that momentum on that start and stop, you could have warping at the bottom. But it's great. So if you have pallet racking in place and you need more space, you want to get rid of those aisles, we can set you up with one of our area contractors. We go to market through, we call them area contractors. They're distributors. They have territories that are regionally exclusive, and they'll come in for a site visit. You tell them, hey, my name's Kevin. This is what I want to do. This is my goal. How can you help me achieve that? They'll get you a site plan. They'll get you a bid. And then you guys figure out what makes sense, and away you go. And then they can come in and we can do surface mount rails. We can also do recessed rails in the floor, for the fork truck traffic. So obviously your lowest impact to your fleet is going to be recessed in the floor. But if you've got an existing building, you're going to be channel cutting the concrete.
Right.
So some people say, I don't want to go through all that. The cool thing is when we do that, that rail is then fully grouted the whole length for support and that foundation of the system. But the surface mount rails are great too. They've got beveled edges, again, to not encumber that fork truck traffic.
Got it. So surface mount, I mean, it just kind of ends up being like just a little bump, I guess. Or
for your fork truck, exactly.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to picture the system together. So it's
right over there.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen it there. Yeah. But I'm trying to think in the grand scheme, right? A big warehouse. So and so the other thing too, I guess I'm curious about is when you move to like the mobile system, right? I mean, you're using existing racking, but I mean, does it reduce at all the amount of weight that you can put on that racking, or does it
not at all
maintain the same integrity?
Yeah, I mean, so we've got systems that'll store up to 60,000 pounds between the rails on a mobile system. Now, of course, that's going to be powered. I'm not going to have you do that with a mechanical assist handle. That gear wheel is going to be so big, no. So we can go up to 60,000 pounds with a back-to-back. It's our Active Rack 30 system. And you can get that 60,000 pounds in between the rails of the system.
Okay.
So and then we go all the way down. I mean, we've got systems that we don't have here that are more front of house. One of them is Wheelhouse. Our flagship product is our standard mobile. That's a fully welded carriage, but that's not great for the warehouse, because if a fork truck hits that carriage, now you got to replace the whole daggum carriage. Whereas with our Active Rack, those side profiles are bolted on. So if a fork truck were to have a collision, with that side profile, we can pop that profile off, and you can just
up.
replace that.
Got it. Okay. All right. Very cool. And in terms of like the height as well, because I know that's like one big thing is that people are trying to go higher as well in their existing space. I mean, are there any limitations there?
So great question, Kevin. Obviously, seismic zones have their own requirements, right?
Yeah,
but we do offer 2 options for anti-tip. Our rule of thumb is, I believe it's 4-to-1 height to width ratio. Once you exceed that, you're going to want to use at least one method of anti-tip, whether it's in the rail anti-tip or overhead anti-tip. And then beyond 6-to-1 height to width ratio, you're going to want both anti-tips. And I believe in seismic, you're going to want both as well. But as far as heights go, we can take our active rack products and we can go up to 40 feet with the shelving upright. And I think most warehouses that we've seen are like 35, 40 feet clear. So we're right there. And then if there's other applications that need to go taller, we also have a high bay product, and that will exceed that. And we see that more in like archival or book depository off-site type applications, not so much in the warehouse.
All right, very interesting stuff with you, Josh. It's good to learn about our neighbor over there. And if people are interested in learning more about Spacesaver, how can they do that?
So they can go to our website, spacesaver.com. And from there, they can take a look at our offering. And if there's interest, they can get in touch with our business development group. And they can get a site visit set up with one of those local area contractors.
Okay. All right. Sounds great. So good to have you over, Josh. And, good to be a friendly neighbor.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Kevin.
Take care. The rest of day 4. All right. So that was Josh from Spacesaver, bringing you space savings, of course.